you guys, and welcome back to my channel. I am so excited to finally be able to do this video. Like, I'm for real excited. I have been keeping a secret for like 2 weeks, or a little bit over 2 weeks, and it's been really hard. So we have a new addition here at Ferret Tales. We have a baby. His name is Oscar. I didn't really have any plans to get a baby ferret. It was not on my agenda, but it wasn't impulsive either. So because my whole thing is don't impulse buy ferrets. So I had a friend who knew someone who got a ferret a couple of weeks back and was just completely unaware of the amount of time and energy and money and all of the things that go into having a baby ferret. And being responsible, which I will just commend this person for just being responsible, said, I don't think this is the pet for me. My husband and I decided to take him. We named him Oscar. He's a hot mess and I love him, and I will show you some footage of him now, and then we will jump into kind of how his cage is set up and some of the processes that I've gone through in the last couple of weeks, and then I will do some more videos later on that are a little more specific about ferret care and baby ferret care. So let's take a look at Oscar.
This town's so lame, I'm feeling so wired. It's 4 a.m., I'm not even tired. We're in your car, we can drive away. Oh yeah. We're almost there, I'm loving this feeling of something new. Just right what I needed, take me there. We can drive away. Oh yeah. Listen to the midnight radio.
So, the reason that I haven't said anything is I wanted to get through our quarantine period. So it is recommended, highly recommended, that you quarantine your new ferrets before you introduce them to your current ferrets. And that is because they could have diseases, and some of those diseases, they could take up to 2 weeks to fully develop or to show. And so let's say that he comes in and he's completely healthy, but he's got some sort of virus or something, and I've introduced him to my ferrets and it doesn't show for 2 weeks. Well, now all 4 of my previous ferrets are sick, and that's something that you really don't want to do. I don't want to take 5 ferrets to the vet and have to treat them all, or nor do I want to put them at risk to be sick. So he went through his quarantine. We were able to get him a vet appointment. We were able to get him to the vet, get all his shots, get him a clean bill of health, and then we did our introductions. And I let him stay in here in their cage. He does not stay with them by himself really too terribly long, and when he is alone with them, I have the camera on and I'm watching like a hawk, because he's still really young and he tends to go and jump and kind of harass them, and they get sick of it. And I don't, they've been really great with him so far, but I don't want him to annoy them to the point where they're fighting. So far we haven't had any of that, but he's really little and I still just don't feel 100% comfortable leaving him unattended with the 4 ferrets by himself quite yet for long periods of time, specifically overnight. Also, he doesn't sleep unless he's in his cage. So he does still sleep, and he sleeps in their cage, and they sleep in the room like they always do. And so eventually he will be let out of the cage and he'll be able to share the whole space with them just like they have it now. So I'm going to show you kind of how I have his cage set up and kind of how it started and kind of where we are with the cage set up. And then I will go over a little bit the process of allowing him to be around them by himself more and more as time goes on. And then I will also talk about switching his food over. I'm not going to get super detailed into that, but I will do some more detailed videos in the upcoming weeks about all kinds of stuff dealing with baby ferrets, just to give you guys an idea of how the process is for me and the way that I do it. But there are lots of videos and people do it a lot of ways, so if you're doing some research, check out a couple different ways. Maybe somebody else's way will work better for you, maybe this way works great for you, maybe you find your own way. You can never have enough information when you're bringing a baby ferret home. Okay, so real quick, I'm going to talk about the setup, the cage setup that I have for him currently. So right now he has the entire double Critter Nation cage, basically to himself. So while we have our ferret room and the ferrets are not locked in the cage, the baby does get locked up in the cage whenever I'm not able to watch him or I'm not able to watch the camera, and at night when he sleeps, and periodically through the day he gets locked in the cage as well because he's so little, and I've noticed that he will not go to sleep on his own unless he's contained. So if I let him roam around this room, he just stays awake until he is exhausted. He's too tiny to be responsible enough to fall asleep, and so he won't sleep. He just keeps going. And also for his own safety, with him being so little, I don't feel that it's appropriate to let him just free range like I do my bigger ferrets. So for now, he does spend quite a bit of time out of the cage, and then when he is sleeping or when I'm unable to watch him or just when I think he's exhausted enough, I put him in the cage and that is where he stays. Initially, when I brought him in here to introduce with the ferrets, I just had him in the top portion. And the reason for that is because I wanted to make sure that he was going to use the litter boxes the way that he should. It makes it hard to litter train them when they have a ton of space. And the reason for that is they just have too much space and they're not able to, you just give them too much space. So what I've always done with all of my ferrets is I've started them off in a really small portion of the cage, one half of the cage. And then there's a litter box in there, their food, their water, and then before they're allowed out, like when they wake up, I make sure they go to the bathroom. And then whenever I see them have to go to the bathroom, I make sure I put them into a litter box, and that's kind of how we do it. After several days, what? Come here. After several days of realizing that he was really good at using the litter box in the cage, I did open it back up and let him have the whole cage during the times that he's in there. Eventually, he will be just like the rest of the ferrets, and he won't have to be locked in the cage periodically throughout the day. Right now, he is into everything, and he is full of energy, and he will not go to sleep at all. If I have a camera in here, so what I do is I let him play for a while, and then I leave the room and I watch the camera to make sure that he's not going to get hurt or get into anything. I basically keep the camera in front of me while I'm sewing so I can see him. But he doesn't sleep. He won't sleep. He has yet to fall asleep in this room. So the only time I can get him to sleep is if he's in the cage. And he does play well. My other ferrets have been really great with him. They have done their little tussle here and there, and I'm going to show some videos of that. So for all of you who are worried when your ferrets you think that the new baby's getting beat up or being hurt, I'm going to show you what it looks like when they are not being hurt. And it can look a little rough. And it can get a little rough. And so far, I've been really lucky. I've had no blood, no poop, no pee. Everything has been really good, but the other ferrets have definitely put him in his place a couple times. And he's fine. He goes right back to playing. So he's adorable. I absolutely love him. I was not expecting to get a baby, but here we are. So if you notice that Weasel's tail is bottle brushed, but there is no poop, pee, or blood. If your ferret is pooping while in the middle of these altercations or peeing, or they lose any kind of control of their bowels, that is a sign that they are scared and you should break that up. If there's any bleeding, obviously you should break that up. Inevitably, I don't allow this to go on too terribly long. The problem is the more you break these types of things up, the longer it takes for your ferrets to establish dominance and establish who is the leader of the pack. For more information on is your ferret fighting or playing, see the video in the description. Okay, so he also came with Marshall's food, which I weaned him off of. He is no longer eating Marshall's food. I do have a clip that I'll show you of part of the weaning process and kind of how I do that. I do not feed raw, but I do feed a mix of 2 kibbles and a freeze-dried raw, and I am actually not going to get a whole lot into the food, and I'm going to tell you why. My Friendly Neighborhood Ferret just did a series on dry foods and on just foods in general for ferrets, and I'm going to tell you it's an excellent series, and nothing that I'm going to say here is going to give you as much detail and as much education as those videos are going to give you. So I will put a link to those in the description. If you are curious about feeding and foods for your ferret, I really recommend that you watch the series if you haven't already. I know we have a lot of the same subscribers, but that series is amazing, and I just feel that she has just covered so much, and I'm gonna let her do that because she did a great job at it. So if you want to know more about feeding, please refer to the link in the description or check out My Friendly Neighborhood Ferret. So one of the first things that I did was I got just a little bit of the food that he was eating. So what I do is I mix it with my kibble, which is 2 different types of kibble. and then I also feed a freeze-dried raw. But I mixed it, initially it was like a, so 75% the Marshall's food and 25% my food. And then I did that for a couple days, and then I started to reduce it. So we go to 50%, and then we go to 25%, and then inevitably he just doesn't eat the Marshall's food anymore. But by doing this, you're stopping it from upsetting his stomach to the degree that it will give him diarrhea. And if it starts to make him have diarrhea or anything like that, you just have to bump it back up and kind of reduce it slower. So far, he's been great and very receptive to trying new foods and eating new foods. So I think this process will be over pretty quickly. He also has been eating this really well from almost the beginning. So that's really good. He actually, this is his preference over the dry food, but it's good that they have a mix and a variety. So I still give him his dry food, which stays out all the time. And this I only do twice a day just because of what it is and how it has to be made. And so I did wean him off of Marshall's food. He is no longer eating that. He is doing great. We didn't have any problems. That was a really fairly quick process. When ferrets are babies, it is super easy to transition them onto new foods. They just don't have that, they're not imprinted on their food like they are when they're older. So it's just such an easy process. And all 4 of my ferrets transitioned into new foods really quickly because I got all mine as babies. So they really transitioned fast, and it was great. He's been amazing. So he has never bit me. He has never, to this day, we're talking 3 weeks in, has never chomped down on me, not one time. I do not know. He must have been really handled or something, or he just has a great demeanor where he just never, I have not had to do any kind of nip training, which, by the way, I want to just point this out to you. That is not really normal. Most baby ferrets will nip. All of my baby ferrets nipped when they were all my ferrets nipped when they were babies. So this is kind of a rarity. There are ferrets that don't do it, and that's great. So don't watch this video and be like, yeah, no, ferrets don't bite. When they're babies, they can nip and it can hurt. I'm just gonna tell you right now. But he's been amazing. So I credit that to whoever had him prior to me and to whoever was handling him, and maybe just to his demeanor, to his parents. I don't really know, but whatever it is, he's been really great about that, which has been refreshing. He will get excited and like attack your feet, but not hard. So he's been great. He's just been a totally different baby than some of my others. So my older 4 ferrets have been amazing with him. They really, really have. Weasel and Bear have been super amazing. They play with him constantly. The girls kind of play with him for a little bit, and they're like, you're boring. I don't want to play with you anymore. I'm tired. I'm old. They're not old, but compared to him, they are. He literally, like, actually runs circles around them. It's hilarious. I have so much footage I'm going to show you guys because it's adorable, and I am going to do more detailed videos about this process. I just kind of wanted to do an overview and like an introduction, and then I'm going to do like a baby series of all of the kind of different processes and steps that I've done with him to get a little more detail, because I'm sure that there's more questions that you'll have, especially if you're bringing a new ferret home and you have a lot of questions on, you know, behaviors and what to expect and how to do things. And so I want to share that with you because this is my 5th time, and it has been an easier go this round, I think, just because I'm so much more educated than I was when I got Weasel. So I do want to touch on some stuff. I just want to say really quickly, if you have, hi baby girl, if you have gone out and gotten a ferret and have come to the realization that maybe this isn't the pet for you. Maybe you don't have the time or the resources to take care of them like you may have thought. Instead of doing nothing and maybe just letting it be and letting the ferret stay in the cage and not get the time and the attention, contact a rescue if you feel like you should give that ferret up. I feel strongly that judging people for maybe things like getting a ferret before doing research and not being able to keep them, I don't want to be a person that judges someone to the point where they're not able to do the right thing. If it takes a bigger person to say I cannot take care of this ferret than it does to do nothing and leave them locked in the cage. So if you are in a position where you're unable to provide for your pet, please, please, please reach out to a rescue, reach out to anybody that is that can help you to take care of that animal, whether it means vetting someone and rehoming them, giving them to a rescue. There's lots of resources. It just is so important that your pet is taken care of, and I just want to put that out there. I think sometimes the pet community can be really harsh on each other, and I think that it prevents people from seeking help sometimes, and I just think that's silly. So we should do the best we can to support, sorry, the baby's everywhere. We should do the best we can to support each other when we need to. So with that being said, if you think that you are want to get a ferret, please, please, please do some research. There are some great, wonderful, wonderful YouTube channels out there. There's lots of information out there. Do your research. I'm going to put some links to some of my favorite YouTube channels, or the ones that I get a lot of information from, that I really enjoy watching. Even though I have experience and I have information, I am always learning things just like anyone else. And there's lots of resources, and people do things differently, and people have different ways of doing things, and what may work for me may not work for you. So definitely do some research and see, look at this baby behind me, and see kind of what works for you, and if a ferret is for you, and if that is the pet for you. And then, you know, make a decision after you've done that. They're great pets. I love them, but I would be lying to you if I didn't say they were expensive. They cost a lot of money. They take a lot of time. Like, all of that is true. So for all the good things, there's a lot of responsible things. There's a lot of other parts of that as well. So that's about it. I just wanted to throw that out there. And I want you guys to have a great week, and I will see you next time.